people are joining. So thank you all for joining. And we're going to be broadcasting via YouTube as well. So yeah, in a few minutes, we're going to kick off. A few more minutes and we're going to start. Okay, let's get started. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're really excited to have you with us, and we would like to share with you information about our upcoming hackathon. My name is Gina Tiriakitou. I'm the head of marketing for Oasis Foundation. So today we have great speakers with us. We're going to share with us their insights and knowledge about DeFi and gaming. And after that, a technical session will follow on how to build Dapps on Oasis network. Just like I would like to share with you a quick overview of the Bloom Hackathon. And Oasis network is a privacy-enabled and scalable layer 1 blockchain. Because it separates consensus and computation to 2 layers, we are able to achieve impressive scalability. This is a really exciting time for us. We have been reaching several milestones recently. We launched Emerald, the EVM-compatible paradigm. We have in place the 200 million ecosystem fund supported by top industry backers. We have the wormhole and sea bridges live. And recently we surpassed 200 million in TVL in only a few months since we launched DeFi on our network. So right now it's a great time. We're fully developer ready. And we want to invite all of you to build upon Oasis. And today we're going to be sharing with you next steps and useful tips on how to get started. The hackathon is focused on DeFi and play-to-earn gaming. So these are the 2 areas that our first hackathon is going to focus. But over the next few months, we're going to have additional hackathons and programs to support private smart contracts, NFTs, and many more. So stay tuned. Right now, the Bloom Hackathon basically is focusing on building dApps on Oasis Emerald, the EVM-compatible paradigm. And a little bit later during the session, Gasper is going to share with you more information on how Emerald looks like and works. And we're very excited because we have a significant pool of awards. As you can see, we have 3 main awards for the DeFi category and 3 awards for the GameFi category. On top of that, we're going to have a bonus prize for the visionary track. We're going to reward innovative projects and ideas. And all of the eligible participants are going to receive an exclusive NFT collection, and the winners are going to get a limited edition NFT. On top of that, the winners are going to be invited to our big annual demo day that is going to take place on June. And they're going to get access and the opportunity to pitch in front of our ecosystem fund backers and investors. So this is going to be a great opportunity. And for us, this hackathon is a starting point of a longer relationship. And our goal is to support teams to build on Oasis and have continuation even after the hackathon. So we're super excited about this. Some key dates to keep in mind. The submissions are already open. So today we're having our kickoff event, but soon we're going to announce many more events for anyone interested to participate. We're going to have pitch nights. We're going to offer you the opportunity to meet other teams and even find team members if you need one. We're going to host office hours. We're going to have deep dive sessions on DeFi and gaming. So stay tuned and follow our social media, Discord channel, and our dev post page. We're going to be announcing many more events in the next few days. Submissions are going to close at the beginning of May 2nd, and we're going to announce the winners on May the 26th. So this is a quick overview of the hackathon. We're going to leave time in the end for Q&A, and feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box. And at this point, I would like to welcome our great speakers. We have an amazing team of experts and investors who have a lot of experience in the DeFi and gaming space, and they're going to share with us some insights. And they're also supporting us, and they're big sponsors for our hackathon. So we're really honored to have them with us. So I would like to welcome Anthony. He is a principal at Newman Capital. So Anthony, welcome, and thank you so much for being with us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the ecosystem and the trends.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gina. Well, thank you, Oasis Foundations, for inviting us over to this kickoff event. I'm super happy. I was once a developer and always in these hackathons, but maybe in person. So now it's all virtual. It's very different. Well, before I dive into my thoughts on the DeFi space, maybe I can give everyone a quick intro of Newman Capital, because we're pretty new, and probably the audience might not have heard of us. So let me give you guys a quick intro. We're a full stack venture capital firm, which means aside from just giving money into companies, we're also involved with the founder, all the way from ideations to go to market. So we support entrepreneurs and incubate founders, with our functions, including engineering, marketing, and even to community building. So, although we're quite new, we started in 2021, but the team and the founders have been quite active in the crypto space since 2017. Some of our investments include Linear Finance, Dapper Labs, you might have heard of, Oxygens, and whatnot. So we have been in the DeFi space for quite a bit of time, which is a good segue, to talk about DeFi. We're certainly much more focused on DeFi than, let's say, GameFi at the moment. With what we're seeing, in 2019, where the DeFi summer started, and where we see DeFi 1.0 and now kind of moving to 2.0. I think some of the key factors for you guys, for developers, and for people who wanted to start companies have to pay attention is there's quite a bit of audience changes. In the very beginning, I would say it's very trader driven, but now it's much more mass consumer driven. So, there's a couple key points from the product side that we think it's going to be critical for any successful company to be excel in the space. One is all about user experience. It has to be very simple, very easy to use. Back in the days, it was the professional, it was the prosumer. Now it's the consumer. It's all about the UI UX. It's all about how easy it is to use without the barrier to entry. And second, I think this is why we're very active in the Oasis ecosystem, and we are very much of a fan of the ecosystem, is privacy. I know this is about the Emirate paradigm today, but with Cypher paradigm and also with the Parcel SDK, privacy is a huge deal in the next generations of DeFi. Just like traditional finance, you don't want people to know how much you have, right? You want your privacy data, you want your user data to be in your own hands. So with the next generations of DeFi protocol and DeFi companies in the consumer space, we think that users really should be able to own their data and keep that in private. So I would say, to summarize, I think the major theme is pretty clear. It's all about major consumers and experience. Of course, on top of that, with the latest infrastructure, throughput and all of that would be basic. And turns out Oasis is pretty good for that as well. So I would be very excited to see all of you guys, to come up with some really interesting projects. And if you guys have any questions, I'm always open. My Twitter, ping me on LinkedIn, Twitter, anything. I would be happy to advise and give you guys some ideas for the projects that you're about to build. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Anthony. Very insightful. I would like to welcome now Hendrik. He's the director at Jump Crypto. So Hendrik, would love to hear from you.
Thanks, Gina. Thanks a lot. Yeah. First of all, like very excited to be here and see people starting to build amazing things on the Emerald Paradigm. Maybe also a little bit of background about Jump. Jump's one of the largest trading firm in traditional asset classes, but also in crypto. We're like traders, but also like very much at this point, and even more going forward, researchers and builders in the space. Like we're co-contributors to the wormhole, which is connecting the Emerald Paradigm to a bunch of other chains, allowing assets and information to flow freely, and also to PIF Network, which across the wormhole is hopefully soon gonna bring you a lot of pricing information into the ecosystem, allowing you to build amazing like DeFi primitives. Like I'm personally also way more involved in everything DeFi, but really that I can only like stress again what Anthony said of we think it like when a new ecosystem gets built up and really looking forward to all of the privacy preserving aspects, there first needs to like you're settlers. You're coming into a fresh ecosystem. You're building up like the first housing and infrastructure for great things to be built. So we see the Emerald Paradigm and the things you're building as like fundamental infrastructure and essentially the entry drug to what can be more paradigms, the Cypher paradigm, and fully privacy preserving tech. And very much with like instant finality and the cheap fees, there you have a great way of like drawing the users in by not just like replicating the core plumbing. Every chain needs its landing protocol, swaps, but also really making use of the fact of what is going to be there and preparing for it. And what we really hope is that like also wormhole can be a key driver for these applications. So it is like fresh ecosystem, the capital needs to flow in, and cross-chain is like a very strong theme everywhere. So being able to bring capital from other chains into the Oasis paradigm and being able to like using the features that are there and the features that are about to come, like anticipating them, you can enable assets and like even NFTs when you think about like the GameFi aspect to do more here than they can on the chain that they were minted on. And this is something we're extremely excited about because like once that plumbing stands, these are the things that are going to be extremely exciting, enabling people to do with the truth is like people have a wallet somewhere. A lot of people like we have a mix of people coming freshly into the ecosystem, but also from other chains. They have a wallet somewhere. They need to be able to enter into the ecosystem and bring stuff over to do more with it. And that's what we're really excited for people to like start building out. So like also here, super excited, like feel free to ping me on Twitter. I'd love to share a couple ideas. I'll connect you to the wormhole team as well to help you guys like really bootstrap and build up things and have the liquidity to do so. So like pull the people in, let this hackathon and let the Emerald Paradigm be the entry drug to what's going to be like an amazing ecosystem of privacy preserving tech.
Thank you so much. What you said about cross-chain is absolutely important, and I think that a lot of the team members here are going to take up on your offer to share ideas since you have such great insight. And maybe in one of our following events, we're going to be able to deep dive more on ideas for the hackathon as well. So thanks so much. And I would like also to welcome Jack. He's the managing director at NGC Ventures. So Jack, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for inviting us to be here. So I'm Jack from NDC. We are a blockchain crypto fund based in Asia. and we started in 2017. So we're actually being the supporter of Oasis since day one. Very glad to be here, and would love to share a little bit of our observations and trend in terms of DeFi and also GameFi. So in terms of DeFi, we see this EVM compatible chains coming up over the past years, and everybody's like building stuff like swaps and lending. But I think what's more exciting is about innovation. So every single ecosystem has their specialities, and DeFi is like there are a lot of new things that can be explored around DeFi. For example, some of the new observations there are some projects start to build scissors that's not based on TVL, which means it can actually drive more money supply and money multiplier. For example, one of the order book model we're looking at, they allow you to put limit order without putting the money in. So your money can farm in, for example, lending and protocol while have the order open. So this kind of innovation is very interesting. And I do believe there will be more and more model which can improve money efficiency and money multiplier in the future. And also there are some more source of income that can be driven into DeFi. For example, there are a lot of projects doing like structured product. So basically their income is not from farming within DeFi ecosystem, but from the option market by earning the premium. So I think we're like in the Oasis ecosystem, we're open-minded. I think there are more things that we can try, and in addition to the current DeFi ecosystem. And also in terms of gaming, a lot of games has been built past year, but in terms of content-wise, it's quite lacking. So I think this year we can see more content flow in to support this like play to earn, right? Because the first principle for a game is it has to be fun to play. So the financial is actually the secondary. And also for GameFi, one important feature is your profile will be shared in the entire chain. So in traditional game, you can play in one game, but when you go enter into another game, you're like a fresh player with no history. So you need to start over. But in blockchain game, you actually can borrow the community from existing successful GameFi and basically use their community. So all the users, instead of starting over in new games, you can keep your profile and you can build your experience so people can learn your history and help you to analyze and earn more reward from your entire game experience. So your whole game like history will be recorded. So these type of things are very crucial for like if you want to build a successful GameFi. That's some point, and looking forward to seeing some exciting project, and happy to give any advice going forward.
Thank you so much, Jack. Indeed, we're at this point. I think we need to see more fun games in the blockchain space. At this point, I would like to thank all of you, Newman Capital, Jump Crypto, and NGC. We're very honored to have you as supporters. And I think anyone who decides to participate in our hackathon is gonna, have the opportunity to connect with you again, get exposure, learn from your amazing experience, and also get visibility via the ecosystem fund. So thank you all so much for being with us today. We appreciate it a lot. And now the technical session will follow, but and all of you will have a chance to connect again down the line with the teams and follow their progress. Thank you all for being with us. So now I'm going to pass it over to Gasper. Gasper is our guru here, and he's gonna show you all the tips and useful information on how to get started. So Gasper, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Gina. I hope you hear me well. I will just share my screen and then we will start my session.
And as a reminder, anyone who has questions, please add them in the Q&A box on your Zoom. And at the end of Gasper's demo, we're gonna answer as many questions as possible. So at any point, please keep adding your questions over there.
Cool. So can you please confirm that you see my slides now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so yeah, first of all, Gina introduced me as a guru. So what I can say is that we have many more good or better developers and gurus than I am, but I'm trying my best in DeFi world. So today, what I wanted to share with you is actually how Oasis, tech or stack looks like, and what's the overview of our network. And lately, maybe just touch a demo that you will see how simple it is to start building on Oasis. Which essentially means that you will use existing tools that you already know, your favorite one like Hardhat, Truffle, or maybe you're working with Remix. It doesn't matter. The point is that it's really simple to configure some files or include some smart contracts and deploy them on our testnet or even mainnet, right? So to start with, I would like to introduce Oasis Network, and then we will jump to, or let's say focus more on Emerald Paradigm, which is essentially EVM paradigm, right? That is focused with this Dapps development today. So let's start with Oasis technology, right? So whoever didn't see that architecture yet, this is, a primary, let's say, slide or architecture that I always start with, right? Because I think it's essential to understand that Oasis network has, let's say, two layers, right? And let's say the primary layer, which is consensus layer, is separated and isolated from other layers, right? So basically from layer twos. So you can imagine this consensus layer as one blockchain, which is robust and secure and, let's say, scalable. And that's why we want to keep it simple as possible, right? So we don't want to put all the computing on it and so on, right? Processing, et cetera. But what we want to do, and what we did actually, is that we separated and we isolated another layer, which is called paradigm. So if you just connect two words like parallel, so when we have parallel executions, right? Or let's say parallel, times, right? We're actually bringing like layer two to our ecosystem, right? So what we have here is basically 1, 2, 3 more chains, right? And we can scale currently up to 1,000 additional chains, right? Which essentially means, right, that you can have, for example, 1,000 transactions per second on one chain, let's say on Emerald. But then you can have 1,000 paradigms, right? Which is pretty scalable, right? And this is only on layer 2, so on the paradigm layer, right? Now, these paradigms are still, communicating to consensus layer. So we're not sending each transaction there, but we're just sending like batches of confirmations if you want. But essentially everything is on blockchain, right? So we have separate, let's say the block explorers, right? For consensus layer, and we have block explorers for different paradigms, right? So that's how the architecture looks like. I will show you, or I will tell you a bit more about Cypher paradigm, Emerald paradigm, and Parcel paradigm in next slides. But essentially, these are paradigms that Oasis team built, right? But you can, as a developer or as a community, you can decide and build your own paradigm, for example, right? So we have really, open space here, which gives us, a lot of possibilities to build different things that were never seen before, right? So let me begin with some numbers, right? I think numbers are important just to give you a comparison to other chains, or to, let's say, Ethereum, who's like a benchmark, if you want, for comparing. Now, typically what's good to hear is that our consensus and even, Emerald Paradigm, they both have the same average block time of 6 seconds, right? So this average block time is almost, or let's say even more than half less to Ethereum compared to Ethereum. And then we have some comparisons to Avalanche and Polkadot, but I want to focus on finality here. So we have instant finality. So it means that the user or developer can instantly trust that it's the transaction is successful and it should be relevant and trustworthy, right? Then our consensus uses proof of stake, which is architecture that modern let me include a green planet now includes, right? All these discussions nowadays about proof of work, proof of stake. So it's just another mechanism of the blockchain, right? Now, privacy by default is included in layer 1. That's what I think it's very important, because there are no solutions like layer 2 and other layers, but it's already implemented in layer 1. So in the Oasis network, right? Now, you will notice what I mentioned before. So like 1K transactions per second. So that's our throughput. Of course, it's current maximum value. But again, you can have like thousands paratimes, which can multiply to a higher, greater scale, right? Now, what's also important is that we're fully decentralized. Basically, I think that Oasis don't even run a node on their own. So all the nodes are decentralized. So we have a great community of our validator nodes and non-validator nodes, paradigm nodes, and so on, right? Which makes us fully decentralized and open to all the developers around the world, right? Now, a good thing that we have is also basically two types, or you can think about smart contracts on our network, right? So one, I would say, typical smart contract is basically Solidity, right? Which comes from Ethereum, right? And this is deployed on our EVM compatible chain, which is Emerald. So I will give you a demo on that. And then there is another type of smart contracts which will include privacy, right? And this is where most developers are actually, interested in, because it gives us, this additional, or the benefits that are not found on other chains. But yeah, this could be found on Cypher paradigm, right? Keep in mind that this WASM WebAssembly, currently, we have a testnet and mainnet. You can try it on testnet. You can start writing smart contracts and see how it works on testnet, right? On mainnet, there are transactions, but not yet the smart contracts on the Cypher, right? But it will come very soon. So we're counting on next few months, the mainnet will support also these smart contracts. What you will also notice is permissioned and permissionless. So both are possible, but again, typically we have permissionless, right? Because we don't, reject or block, anyone from using it. Now, if we jump to, other paradigms now. So now we know the architecture. Now I want to show you the Cypher. And then we have the Emerald paradigm and also Parcel. So Cypher paradigm is, built or was built for smart contracts written in Rust. and then they're compiled to WebAssembly, which essentially provides the, let's say, environment for confidential, computing, if you want, and confidential, transactions or processing and so on, right? So the key point on Cypher, or to take away, is actually this TEE, right? So trusted execution environment. Everything is done, and this is kind of a, hard-coded, I will say, is that the computation is done inside Intel technology SGX, right, enclaves. So essentially what that means is that we assume that our OS could be malicious or something, right? And then we have these secured environments where the, some code or smart contracts can be executed, right? So this is a big thing, and we have combined that to our blockchain, which brings us a huge benefit compared to others. Now, just like other paradigms, basically, we have very high transaction throughput. I will show you some numbers for Emerald. The decentralization I mentioned for the Cypher paradigm, we have currently around 43 Oasis nodes. The operators, right? And you will notice that we're basically using ROSE as a native token on the on consensus, right, layer, or on our network, and also on paradigms. So yeah, ROSE is used on mainnet, of course, for native token. Now, if we touch Parcel Paradigm, Parcel is also kind of focused on privacy, or more appropriately set to responsive data usage. What that means, right? We want to have kind of a isolated, protected, private data that will be stored. So basically, it's like a storage for protected or privacy sensitive data, right? And we're storing this data on Parcel. Now, when we have this data on Parcel, then we can actually manage pretty well who or how this data can be used, right? So if you have a manager of this data, we can actually control when we allow this data to be accessed or don't allow, or let's say even for our users, that if they allow, or if they share the data, or if they stack the data, let's say, they will get paid for that, right? So that's a huge benefit nowadays using the Parcel Paradigm. Now, another very important benefit of Parcel Paradigm is that you can actually provide encrypted data and smart contract. And then this data will be processed, let's say, in a black box, okay? And once the data is processed, or the computing is done inside that black box, what comes out is also encrypted data. So essentially, nobody can see, right? Because it's encrypted in, encrypted out, right? You can actually analyze data. You can do whatever you want with this data, basically, in the processing phase, but without revealing the raw data, right? Which is a very, very huge benefit, or let's say a selling point for Parcel Paradigm. Now, regarding that encrypted data, right? We still have, all these transactions on immutable ledger if we want to have some audits, right? Which essentially means that we have all these transactions available, just like on any blockchain. They exist and they cannot be, right, changed and so on, right? Now, if I jump to the third paradigm, so that's why I have the whole new chapter here. It's Emerald Paradigm, and the Emerald Paradigm will take us a bit longer because I want to give you a demo. I want to give you some numbers that are relevant nowadays, right? So as you've seen, the Emerald paradigm is actually EVM compatible blockchain. So you can imagine as, Emerald as a layer 2 solution in the Emerald, in the Oasis network, right? So we have consensus, and let's say we have a layer 2 EVM compatible blockchain, right? So this is Emerald paradigm, right? So what we can say about Emerald? Well, basically I can say it's just another EVM, right? But EVM, so if we take a look at Emerald, it has full EVM compatibility, right? So you can build, with Solidity, you can use tools that you're used to. So essentially you can migrate everything from, maybe Ethereum or other EVM chains, right? And just deploy it on our Emerald, which will bring some new, benefits to developers who are using the Emerald and Oasis network, right? So not that just fees are like 1,000 times lower, right? Because now we just introduced, a very little low fee, which is 10 nanoROs. Before it was 0, but because of some security reasons, we introduced that small fee. And you will see how fast it works, right? Now, if I just give you my experience, from other chains or other ecosystems, yeah, they work and it's all fine. But once I'm coming to Oasis, I usually compare that like Apple ecosystem, right? Because you have, a smartphone, a laptop, monitors, and so on, right? PCs and so on, and everything works so smoothly inside the ecosystem. And the same I feel about Oasis, right? Because you will notice how, let's say, transactions between consensus to Emerald and between other paradigms, how smooth it works, how cheap it is, and I really like the experience, right? So just to mention, block time is the same as consensus. Scalability, I will show you some numbers on next slide, but yeah, we have a high throughput of transactions. And typically we support all these new trends like DeFi, NFTs, Web3 if you want, crypto gaming, GameFi and so on, right? So currently we also introduced some new guides about implementing oracles like Bent protocol, which we also have a nice short guide on it. Now, there are some numbers now. This is for Emerald. So when we actually launched the Emerald paradigm, and then we have this user swap, the first DEX on Emerald, right? We saw a huge, interest, right? And we see a lot of users, a lot of transactions per day. And we had a peak around almost 1 million. Okay, it's 950K. But the point is that this could be easily comparable to Ethereum, right? In the same, of course, in the same time frame, right? Now, of course, then after the peak and let's say hype when we launched, the average is around almost 200K per transactions per day. But still, we're quite young. Young chain, EVM chain, which is very good and very nice success. We're building, and a lot of projects are coming already from accelerator program and community and so on. So, you will see these numbers rise exponentially. Now, I mentioned block time. This is on average. It's quite good that it's half and more of the half of the Ethereum. The throughput that we can see currently is like almost 7 million transactions per day. We could increase that to more than 10 million in the future, but currently we're still we have this limit on 7 million. Okay, so the transaction fees, if you will compare that to Ethereum or others, you will notice that the minimum transaction fee for base fee 21K of gas is basically 0.00021 ROs, right? Now, if you just compare that, so currently Rose is probably around, I don't know, 21, 25 cents, I don't know. But the point is that if you multiply that, it's basically almost zero, right? So keep that in mind, that with almost zero fees, you can work pretty fast and scale your projects almost infinitely, right? So the average typically it's a bit higher because you want to have, you know, a better experience, not the slowest or the lowest transactions executed. And also compared to the Ethereum, that's only for ETH, but if you're using other tokens and so on, this could be much higher, right? So I can't remember when I just paid like $2 for ETH transaction, right? But it was more like 20, 30. Crazy, right? Crazy. Okay, now I will now dive deeper on the EVM compatible chain, so on Emerald. So few tools that you are probably used to are Hardhat, Truffle, Remix. Now today I will give you, okay, I will present, you know, all three examples, but I will do demo on Truffle. So just to give you an idea, right? All smart contracts on any EVM compatible chain are written in Solidity, right? So that's how it is. It's Ethereum standard based, and that's how also Emerald works, right? So you will find these .sol smart contracts, right? Keep that in mind that EVM Paradigm module was based on Sputnik VM. So basically it's a pure Rust EVM implementation here, right? And we will see how you can configure all these Hardhats, Truffles, remixes, configurations to work with Emerald. So first I want to show you the, developing with Truffle. Basically, any way you choose, you will have to configure, I would say, maybe two, three things on each, let's say, environment or tool, right? So the first thing that you will always have to change or configure is always the network configuration, right? So essentially, you need to provide the testnet and mainnet parameters. You can find that on the our docs, docs.oasis.dev webpage. So basically, it's for Web3 gateway. And another parameter in our case, this is just something that we will include, some private keys, and the code will understand how to use our private keys for this Truffle example. If you want to test that, locally, you have some commands to execute that locally. Probably you already know that. But if you want to, let's say, deploy and test smart contracts on testnet or mainnet, right? Here's the example for testnet. So basically, you can execute, Truffle test, and then you provide the network on which you want to deploy and test smart contracts, right? Hardhat, very similar story, just another tool set, right? You will be configuring so-called Hardhat config.typescript or .ts for Emerald testnet and mainnet, basically the same network configuration, right? So for testnet and for mainnet, and then you can use npx command to run Hardhat. You have script deploy, which is used to deploy that on testnet network, right? So there is no big deal. There is no rocket science because it's EVM, so no rocket science, as I mentioned. And we will take a look at Truffle later on. I will give you one more example for Remix. If you want to do some, ad hoc or testing, quick testing, right? You will be able to use Remix. So providing a SOL contract, basically you can write it in Remix. Then you will have to connect one or more accounts to this, to Remix. So if you're using MetaMask, you can actually use one of these addresses on testnet or Emerald mainnet, right? And then you will compile the SOL contract. So that's, let's say, the second step or the third step. Actually, after compiling that contract, you will be able to select the inject Web3 environment and basically just deploy that on testnet, right? So once you will have that contract on testnet, you can start checking how the smart contract works, right? So maybe you can do some queries and so on, right? Cool. Now, I will jump to the latest and greatest on Oasis now, because we just prepared so-called Docker image. You can find it on the Docker Hub, which is pretty awesome because you can actually create and build your local environment, right? So what comes inside this Docker image is basically a single validator node, 3 Oasis compute nodes for Emerald Paradigm, right? Web3 gateway, and even some helper scripts, right? So I encourage you to use that because it will speed up the process of developing, testing, and so on, right? Of course, it's not the same experience then as working on testnet, but here you will have a local environment to build faster and more, I would say, probably everyone, prefers local development and then pushing, to mainnet and testnet, of course. So yeah, go to our docs page. We have a pretty nice, developing or creating the apps, writing Dapps on Emerald, and you will find this local environment like guide for the image. Okay. I have some Q&A here. I will just close that. I think I have a poll here. I don't know why, but just give me a second. Okay, poll is gone. Thank you. Yeah, so that's a great option to start building, right? When you will start building, the only thing basically you need to know is where to find the parameters. So configurations, the RPC, the chain ID, right? And you can go to docs.oasis.dev. You will find Web3 Gateway, or essentially under developer resources, you will have the configuration for Emerald Paradigm. So Web3 Gateway for testnet and mainnet, you will have RPC, you will have block explorer and chain IDs, right? Okay, now, for using the explorers, yeah, that's the last thing I want to show before I go to demo, is that there are 2 different explorers for testnet and mainnet. Sometimes people, start working on testnet, perform, transactions, perform, maybe create a smart contracts and so on, right? And then they started to ask me, hey, I don't see transactions, I don't see my smart contract and so on. Yeah, because they're using the wrong explorer, right? So just keep in mind, we have testnet explorer and mainnet explorer. This could be found under the Web3 Gateway configuration or parameters, right? Okay, and now we go to the Truffle demo, right? So Truffle demo will include, so I will share my screen. I will go to the CMD. I will just clear that environment. So basically what we will do, I will just try to show you a quick demo how to deploy or see how things work on our testnet. So I will just go out. I will just create a new folder and start building, right? So before you actually can start working, keep in mind you need some dependencies, so like npm, npx, and of course make sure that you install the Truffle, right? So install all these things and then start building. So I will first say make dir, right? I will create, let's say, meta coin, and I will say H as hackathon. So I will say meta coin H. So let me see. Okay, CD Metacoin H. Okay, LS. So it should be empty, right? So there's nothing in there yet. And now, since I already have the Truffle installed, I can use their example to deploy on our testnet. So basically, what I will do is run npx command, so Truffle, and unbox, and basically Metacoin is the project. So Metacoin is the project that they use as a demo, right? Now you will see that we have basically 3 commands for Truffle: compile, migrate, and test. We will not be using migrate today because that will essentially move or transfer your project, or let's say your smart contract, whatever you did, right, from testnet to mainnet. But what we will do is actually test and maybe compile. Yeah. Okay, so what I want to do first is let's first do the Truffle test. So npx Truffle test. Now, this should actually execute and try and test, the project, the Metacoin project, locally, right? So I can actually show you what's going on also in the file explorer, right? So if I go to Metacoin H, you will see contracts, and we have 3 contracts here, right? Now you will notice these 3 contracts were found actually here. So convert lib, Metacoin sol, migrations.sol. So we have like 3 contracts in this contracts folder, and they are now being tested, right? So we compiled these contracts, and yeah, these were executed just locally, right? Now, if I want to now, let's say, jump or start using the Truffle for my own development, and use our testnet or maybe even mainnet later on, I will have to reconfigure or see what I can change, right? So let's first do the ls. Maybe I can show you the contracts. So let's do ls. So you see we have 3 contracts. You can also provide your own contracts, right, in this folder if you want to have some custom Solidity contracts. And what's also important is basically this Truffle config, right? Truffle config JS file. Because you have to reconfigure, or you have to provide parameters inside that Truffle config. So that's the essential part, what we will do here, right? Now, if we want to do that, first we need to add some support. So let's say I need to go to, yeah. So what I will do actually is, you know what, I will just, I saved one command because I don't want to type and, look for the all the characters. But essentially I will do the npm I Truffle, like hardware wallet provider. This is just a command that will provide that will add support to Truffle for reading the private key, which will be stored in the environment variable, right? So that's just a piece of code that I will run to, whoops. Okay. Okay, just give me a second. Okay, yeah. Sometimes I don't think what I'm doing. So what I will do is actually open, so I will say VI, because I want to open the Truffle config.js. And here, okay. Yeah, and here I want to include that, right, in the config file, right? So what I need to do is I will just enter for editing. Yeah, if you're asking why I'm doing that with VI, yeah, don't ask me. I could go just and edit this file with any other editor basically. But yeah, you know what? I can actually, yeah. You know what? Just forgot it. I will just copy and paste this here. Yeah. Networks. Yeah, I will delete all these parameters because I will. Just a second. You know what? I will not save that. Quit. Yeah. Okay. No. Or you know what? I can do it here. It doesn't matter actually. Networks development. Okay. So what I would do is add my networks parameters. So first of all, yeah, at the beginning, for more, okay, I will just delete that. Or I don't have to because it's commented. Or you know what? Maybe it would be much easier if I just open my file here. Maybe I changed my mind because it's easier, right? I must just where's my terminal? Let me just, you know what? I will close that, write that, and I will go back. Git write. No, come on. Okay. VI, let me check what I have now. Okay, yeah, I have some edited files, so I will just go out. I will provide the same basically configuration, but I already prepared it. So just bear with me. So I will go back to VI. No, I will go to brackets and edit this file, right? So I will just override this with command I mentioned. So const, which will include the availability to look into the private keys. And then we have module exports. So I will just save that. And I want to make sure that now my file includes all these parameters, right? So if you check now, my command is here for using the private key later on. Now module exports networks, you will notice here are basically two parameters, right? So if you're editing the file in text editor, you can edit the networks, and then you have Emerald testnet and Emerald mainnet. So you can find this on our webpage. And the rest actually remains the same, right? So now I just complicated things, and usually that's how it is, because live demos are, the most fun to do, right? Okay, so I will go out, X. Now I should have my config file ready. Yeah, okay, everything is here. And what I will do next is actually try to run, or actually, you know what? If I want to use private keys, I need to export the environment variables, if you want to say it, right? So for that reason, I also already prepared my export private keys command. And yeah, I have some demo accounts with private keys, so I'm using those. So yeah, this export private keys will make sure that this, let's say, environment variables will see that, or these private keys will be seen to our, or will be available to our smart contract and configuration, right? So I will export private keys. Now, why 2 keys? This meta coin, it's a bit special example because it includes 2 addresses, and maybe there are some transfers, right, included in the smart contract. So I will just execute that. And now when I have ready my Truffle config file with Emerald testnet and Emerald mainnet, I also have my private keys available now. I think I can actually start deploying and testing that on the testnet. So let's try what will happen. So if I say Truffle now, and I will say test, because we have test command to do it on network. I think it's network, and I should use. So if you're asking what should I use for network, it's basically a parameter inside the Truffle config JS file for example, in my case for testnet, which is Emerald testnet. Okay, Truffle test network Emerald testnet. Boom. Okay, so now remember what happened. Okay. Truffle config. Yeah, something is wrong in my config file. Okay. Let's check what it is. I know what it is. There is one thing that was too much, so too many, yeah, curly brackets and columns. So let's try now. Okay, yeah, okay. So now we will do compiling. Perfect. Now the point is that the same thing as locally before will happen now on testnet, right? And if all the tests will be successful, like testing smart contracts, so essentially we have 3 smart contracts, right? Convert, leap, metacoin, migrations deployed to testnet. And then we have the last smart contract, which will test all these 3 smart contracts, if that makes sense, right? And this will maybe take a little more time because it's live on testnet, right? So keep in mind that we will observe now the real situation, right? It's not local environment, it's nothing pre-configured now, but it's live, right? So, for example, if some crazy hype will happen, maybe with some NFT on testnet, this might take a little longer, right? But yeah, currently you will notice that test metacoin is running. So basically the last smart contract will test the convert leap metacoin migrations smart contract. Okay, yeah, so yeah, essentially, if you go to Truffle, you will notice this example includes, yeah, 2 addresses, 2 private keys, because we have some transfers from one address to another and so on, right? That's why also it takes a bit longer to test everything. But if I just scroll up, just to give you an idea, right? You see, this is what is going on, right? So test metacoin, we have, I don't know, some test initial balance, right? And test initial balance with new metacoin. Both, let's say, tests will be executed now, but on the testnet. And then we will move to the second part, right? Which is contract metacoin. And it will be also tested with all these, let's say, 3 or altogether 5 tests on testnet. So I will go down. Okay, perfect. We have 2 successful tests on mainnet already. So we have, yeah, the same as before, initial balance with new metacoin and using deployment contract on testnet. And now we will wait a few more seconds or a minute for the, let's say, second part, the metacoin tests. Sometimes maybe yeah, okay, it looks good. yeah, for the last test, I probably didn't include something in my file or so. Contract sent correctly, invalid address. Yeah, okay, so I probably misspelled something with the address, but essentially you see the point, right? This is happening on live on testnet, right? So that's one option how to work, you know, on Emerald, but I believe that you're used to it. If you were on another EVM chains or on the Ethereum, you have your own flow, you have your own tools, and you can use the same flow, the same tools to build and deploy on our testnet or on our mainnet, right? So it's no big deal. It's no rocket science. It's just the same flow for you with our parameters, and that's the whole rocket science, right? Okay, so you know, that's what concludes my demo. So the contracts, or maybe, you know what, one more thing I can show you. If I go to testnet Explorer, just to give you an example, I should see, you see contract creation, and I'm sure that was me, right? So I can go and check, but essentially if I check my addresses, text edit, there is address C802F4AC. Okay, yeah. Yeah, that contract call you see C802, that was me actually, right? So all this is now tracked and live on testnet. So I have a smart contract call, contract creation, and so on, which is essentially all tracked and you know, verifiable on our Explorer or on our block Explorer. So yeah, okay, I will not you know, take any longer. So I hope you enjoyed my session. And again, try to use and try to test our local environment, right? Our image. Keep in mind that it may take a minute or two to spin up everything and to go through this to the initial you know, blocks and so on to sync. But yeah, it's very useful, and you don't have to, you know, build and spin up all these you know, nodes and so on your own, right? So yeah, thanks. That's all for my side, and yeah, Gina or whoever will take over.
Thank you, Gasper. I think we have only one question that is not answered.
Yep.
What do you recommend for an absolute beginner between Hard Hat, Truffle, and Remix?
Oh, okay. Now, if you're really beginner, right, and if you really want to see something deployed on you know, testnet, I would go and start with Remix, right? Because it's so simple. I can give you an example. I mean, if you go to remix.ethereum.org, so remix.ethereum.org, it's basically like web environment or development environment in the in browser, right? And you can essentially copy and paste some existing contracts. Even more, I suggest that you start with our guide, which includes how to integrate Oracle, you know, Barrent protocol to retrieve or get some prices. Let's say BTC versus USD or ETH versus BTC, right? And you can use Remix to deploy that simply in few minutes on the testnet. Now, if you are a bit more familiar with development, right, like you have this flow, maybe DevOps, using GitHub, local development, and so on, I recommend you to use, you know, our local image. Now, this is on the, like I mentioned, Docker Hub, and then you can use preferred tools. My personal view is that maybe Truffle, from my perspective, it's a preferred choice for me. But essentially, if you will find out that hard hat is preferable to you, you can use either. So I would go with like Remix, maybe Truffle, and then hard hat. But it's really a matter of personal choice.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget, you have up until May the 2nd to submit your applications for the hackathon. We have $200,000 in awards, guidance and access to investors via the ecosystem fund, NFT collection. So we would love to see your submissions. We're going to have a series of events over the next few days and weeks. Stay tuned. Follow our Discord channel, our dev post page, and our social media. And we're going to announce soon the next events. As I said, we're going to have pitch nights, demo nights, office hours if you encounter any issues and if you need more support, DeFi and gaming deep dive sessions. So stay tuned. We'd love to have you with us through this journey. And our investors and backers are also going to be very interested to see what you're going to build. So thank you all for joining. We're going to share the recording of this session and the deck that Gasper presented on our social media and on our blog. So you're going to be able to find this material online in a few days after the call. So thank you all so much. We're very excited to have you with us, and we're looking forward to having you in our next events.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice day or evening.